Hi everybody, it's Linda at the Crafting Depot, and today I want to show you some techniques that I used that helped me to create this painting, if you can see it, this painting. So I'm a beginner with watercolor. I've painted in the past with acrylics and I've tried some oils, but now I am exploring watercolor and I absolutely love it. So I make no claims to be a professional, but I am learning from the professionals, so I figured why not share that information on my channel for you. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you some tips that I learned, and I hope that that will help you and encourage you as it has encouraged me to do some watercolor painting. So let's have some fun, and I'll see you when I flip the camera around. Okay. Okay, so I have acquired several sets of watercolor paints. I have the Grabby, which is my very first set. It looks like this. It's $19.99 on Amazon. I've talked about it so much because it was my first set that I bought. And then I got excited and I went and got the Kuretake paints, which I absolutely love. Then I got the the Winsor Newtons, which are wonderful. They're a professional set. And then I heard about the Meeden set and I got them. But for this demonstration, I want to show you from a basic set that I am promoting. I'm not affiliated with them, although I will be soon, hopefully. And let's get going. Okay, so what you want to do is get yourself a piece of watercolor paper and put it into, divide it into three. This is the next one that we're going to do. We're going to divide it into three different sections, and we're going to learn three different techniques. So the first thing we're going to do is write down on this side, after you divide it into three sections, then, draw a line straight down, and we're going to write wet on wet. And then on the next section, we're going to write wet on dry. And then the last section, we're going to write wet on damp. Okay, so you have a second. You can screenshot that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our paints. And this isn't going to be a long video, but you'll get the idea. You can always go back to it, and it's a lot of practice, which is what I've been doing. So the first thing you want to do is lay down some water, and you want to get your paper wet. Just like it says, wet on wet. So the paper's wet, and now you're going to get your wet paints. So now you're going to use your wet paints, and you're just going to blend that down on the wet water. And you get this type of technique where you can see the water is moving. Not the water, the paint. Yeah, the water also. The paint and the water is moving. So you get that kind of a technique. And it's great, like say you want to paint leaves. Let's do another wet on wet. So now you see my blue water, which is fine. And we're just going to go in and get another color. And just let that, and as you can see, it's like spreading. You can see it's spreading. It's really a cool technique. So now how would you use this when you're painting? So let's see. Let's get out a brush. I'm using this dagger brush, and I'm going to just paint down a leaf like that. So I got a point. And then I'll go get some green paint, and I'm gonna put it down like that, and you can see how it blends. Really cool. Really cool. And if you want, let's say you want to just add some yellow to it, you can put some yellow in there. And then as time goes on, that's going to move. I think that's really super cool. And then if you want, you can get some blue, like I did, and just splash it down. And that's going to move because the paper's wet and your brush is wet. Your paint is wet. So it's wet on wet. And we'll let that go. So then the next thing you're going to try, and this is fun also, is you're going to get a wet paint, and you're just going to go wet on dry. And it's a different look than what you have up there. You can see it's just different. If you can see that, much different. So now you might want to paint some flowers or leaves, whatever maybe you're doing. Let's get a different color. You just want to paint down some leaves with just your wet paint on your dry paper. And that's a different look. Now if we go back to this leaf, you'll see that it's dispersing. Okay, and that's not the greatest leaf in the world, but you get the idea. You can play with this. There we go. A little bit better. Okay, moving along, we're going to do wet on damp. So we're going to get our brush, we're going to wet it, and we're just going to wet the paper. You can see my blue from the last one. And let's go down here and just, well, you can see I have a lot of paint on here, which is probably good for demonstration purposes. You can just see, okay, so the paper's a little damp. And then what I'm going to do is wet my brush, and we'll get some, let's do purple. And we'll just do some splashing. And as time goes on and you let this sit there, it's going to do the same thing like the wet on wet, but it's going to be a little less wet. It's going to be, that's the difference. It's not as wet as, the damp is not as wet as the wet on wet. But if you leave that, you'll get a disbursement over time with that. If you look closely, you can see a little disbursements here. And this, as time goes on, will continue to move. Okay, so that is the 3 techniques that I learned that I wanted to share with you, because I have a lot of beginners on here like me, and so let's learn together and get better at this. Okay, so those are the 3. Now let's move along. So we're going to get another piece of paper, and we're going to divide that into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Let me move this over. Still recovering from the grand dog. Getting better, but I just cleaned my condo the other day, and I spent, I think, 8.5 hours. So there wasn't a lot of time to rest. Okay, so we're going to draw a line down here. And if you like this video, you like what I'm sharing, I would appreciate it if you could just hit the like button. And I respond to all of my messages. So if you want to send me a comment, wonderful. I'd love to get to know you. So in this one, I learned about flooding. So we're going to write flood, ombre, lifting, which I did in that picture, scrub, and line work. Okay. So for flooding, you're going to take your brush, right? You're going to get some paint, and you're just going to scrub around. Well, not scrubbing, but you're going to paint, okay? And then you're going to get another color. You're going to take green, and you're going to flood the blue and the green together. So it's kind of like a blending. And we'll get another color, we'll get a red. And we're just going to add water, and we're just going to flood it. Flood it with water and watch it move. And like I said, these are not professional paints, but they're a great way to get started, as I did. So I like them, you know, for a beginner. think they're wonderful paints. And you can play with that. So with that, you can do clouds. Let's get some light blue, and let's just play with this. And then maybe what we'll do is get some water and we'll flood it. We'll flood it with water, which is different than what I did over here. Over here I flooded it with paint, different paints. And there's flooding. You can also do hills. Let's see, we'll get some green. Let's say you want to do mountains. Like that. And you want to add another color. So you're going to flood this and mix your colors. And that, my friends, is flooding. Cool. Okay, so the next one is ombre. And I think a lot of us know what ombre is, so we're going to pick up some paints. And this you might want to use, and this one you don't want to use too much water. So we're going to go down like this, clean off our brush, and we're just going to clean off our brush. And we're going to let the paint just blend out and get lighter. So as you can see, that is ombre. So ombre you can use if you're doing, well, I don't do galaxies or anything like that, but you can use it for painting leaves, flowers. So let's do some leaves. So we're going to go in there, and we're going to put the point of our brush down like that. And then we're going to get some water, and we're going to use the paint that's on here to drag it out and bring some of that color over here. So if you look closely, you'll see there's a lighter version of the paint from here, spreading in here from the water. So that is ombre. And let's see, maybe let me practice doing some petals. Okay, so let's do some petals like this. We'll do another one over here. And we'll do one over here. Not the greatest, but like I said, I'm a beginner. So now we're going to get the water, and we're just going to brush next to it. And we're going to brush next to that. And we're going to try and pick up some of this paint. And you'll see it's just very faint. Very faint. So you want to touch a little bit of your paint over there. So you got a heavy, you have a heavier, and this is all with you got to practice as I do. You can see they're not fantastic, but you can see that if you put your paint down and then you add water, it's going to blend into here. And with practice, we'll all get better. So that's ombre. Then we're going to do lifting. So lifting, we're going to take some paint. Let's grab this kind of reddish. And I'm just going to put 3 colors down. Clean this off. And I'll get a blue. Let's get a blue. And we're going to put the blue down next to it. Should be a little darker. And we'll get this green. We'll put these colors. And then we'll come back to it. Okay, so we put 3 colors down. We're going to walk away from it and we're going to come back. We clean this. And then the next thing we're going to do is scrubbing. So scrubbing, we're going to grab some blue and we're just going to put some paint on here and we're going to walk away from that. Okay? The next thing I want to show you is this really cool liner brush that I got. This is by Princeton. I don't know if you can see that. It's the Princeton Velvet Touch Script Liner. I highly recommend it. I absolutely love it. It's got a very thin little brush here, and it's wonderful for making lines. So let's let's go in and see what we can do with the script liner. So we'll go like that. Look at how cool that is. This is super cool. Let's see, maybe we can do some circles. And I'm just learning how to use this. I absolutely love it. You can take your brush, I'm not good at this, but you can go press down, lift up, press down, lift up. Let's see if I can do that again. Let's grab this orange. So the trick is you have to make sure that your brush is wet. Okay, so let's see if I can do this again. Press down, lift up, press down, lift up. And you get that technique. You can also, let me get that paint off. You can also do things like, grab this. You can do like this with the liner. But I really love the way it makes these thin little lines. I highly recommend these brushes. I love the Princeton brushes. I know that there's other brushes out there that are fantastic, but I'm sticking right now with the Princeton. And let me see, I want to try this blue. So let's see. I mean, how cool is that? Now you can see, like, I hope I was in camera during that whole time. You can see it's kind of like dragging a little bit. Where's my brush? Here it is. Because there wasn't really enough water. So you can see like how it's different over there than it is over here, because there wasn't enough water on the brush. But that is line work. Okay, so now let's go back into the lifting. So what you want to do is get water on your brush. You don't, let's say you don't like that, that's too thick. You want to lift some of the paint exactly as it says, and you carefully go, not too much, because otherwise your paper is going to start you know, getting torn apart. So with the blue, you can see a little bit right there lifting. Let me see with the green. And this is with student grade paints. So anyone that's a professional that's watching this is probably cringing, because they're using, you know, the Michael Harding, and they're using the Winsor Newtons and the other paints. But if you look closely, you can see here where I lifted some of the paint. So it is exactly what it says, just lifting. So what we could do is, let's paint a blue leaf. Not a good leaf, but putting it on kind of thick. Okay, so let's say I'm not happy with that. I want to go in and lift some of that paint off. I want to create shadows. So right in here in the middle, I'm just going to lift, take some of the paint off. And basically that, it is just what it says, lifting. So I'm lifting the paint, I'm moving the paint. As you can see, it's moving. This is so cool. And you get that kind of a technique. So now let's go back to scrubbing. So scrubbing, we got this going on. And let's see, we want to put something else in there. And we want to scrub this in with the other blue. And we're just scrubbing. We're scrubbing the two colors together. And basically that, my friends, is scrubbing. Let's get some pink, and we're going to scrub some pink in there. And you're just scrubbing the paint around, scrubbing it around. Maybe put some green in there. I love the way green and blue together look. So cool. So that's scrubbing. So these are some great techniques that you can use on your beginner, you know, or, well, the professionals know how to do this. But for us beginners, I think this is a great activity. Let me see, what did I do? Did I put, is this the one? Yeah. Okay, so we did wet on wet, wet on dry, and wet on damp. And as you can see, this one here is kind of like dispersing. So I hope that was helpful for you if you're a beginner and you're on my channel, The Crafting Depot, which started off to do journals and handmade books. But then I decided that, you know what, I really, really love painting, and I've been watching these watercolor artists, and I just wanted to get into it. So if you enjoy doing this, you can add this to your journals. You can make pockets and tags and belly bands and side tucks, and you can paint, you know, add these things to your journals, and I think they'd be really fabulous, wonderful. Anybody that got a journal that you painted in is going to love it, absolutely love it. So with that, I just want to thank you. If you found this information useful, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, and if you'd like to send me a message, I mean, I would love to hear from you. I have several girls on this channel that send me messages, and I'm really grateful to all of you. So if you stop by and would like to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. With that, have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.